Hello, everyone. Julia Simmers here for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. Thanks for joining us today. A session that was supposed to go live on YouTube, but things have happened that wouldn't allow us to live stream. So sorry to everyone who missed out on the live stream on YouTube. We're doing it on Zoom now. There was an email sent out to all our subscribers, and if you didn't get it, it's because you're not a subscriber. So you need to be a CIA subscriber to know what's going on if things change. Okay, but thank you everyone for being here. Today we have got the wonderful Ursula Stockder with us. Hello, Ursula.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy that we are going to make this wonderful trip, this pilgrimage, this Venus pilgrimage, so together. So,
Yes, so this is somewhat of a prelude to an amazing trip that, with, of course, Ursula being the main agent in Mexico that we have, has come together because we wanted to do something in 2020 and it didn't work out for obvious reasons. So what is it? 6 years later, here we are. We've organized this wonderful Venus pilgrimage through the Yucatan, Mexico for 8 days and 7 nights with Ursula, with her daughter Ali, with Ariel Gutman, with myself, and Yuri Robles. Now, the program is amazing. I'm not going to go through it totally at the moment. It is online. I will direct you to the link. We have a very special offering that finishes with the new moon coming on June the 14th. If you sign up in the next few days or before then, you will also receive a special gift, either a Cosmic Intelligence Agency subscription, a reading with Ursula, a Mayan astrology reading with Yuri, some courses with Ariel Gutman. And so you have a choice of one of those as well as the bonus of coming with us, of course. So we only have about 3 or 4 spots left and a few people sort of deciding. So we expect that we will be pretty full very soon, and we'd like to be because now we're kind of finalizing all the last details to this amazing trip. So Ursula, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing for us on this incredible journey.
first of all, I am researching a lot about the colors used in the pyramids, and the importance of color and what it really means. So we are going to see there are some colors that are related to the sky, some colors that are related to the underworld, and how these colors were done. Because Mexico has a very important heritage in colors, not only with the archaeological sites, also in muralism. I'm going to speak a little bit about muralism and how they managed, how this heritage from Mexican painters and artists were transferred to the world. It was like, it's not only the pre-Hispanic or the Mayan. With the Mayan, we have the Mayan blue. That's a very special blue. And then we have the red, the green, the orange. So that's something I'm going to be speaking about. Then I'm also going to relate all these colors to the flavors, to the Venusian flavors. So we are going to be cooking something special, a very nice feast. And I have something very special for everybody. We each of us are going to do a codex. The codex is done on a very special paper. It's called amate paper, and it has a religious and spiritual meaning. So everybody who paints their own codex has to use the colors used in the Mesoamerican and the Mayan tradition, and also has to really imprint something special, something spiritual and rich related to a personal ritual in their own codex. So we are going to use these paintings, these, ¿cómo se llaman los? The pigments. We are going to use the special pigments that they were used during when the codexes were done. So painting was used in the Mesoamerican and the Mayan tradition. The ones who made these codexes were the ones that were like the priests or the shamans, who were the linkage between the people and the gods. So they had a very special significance in the Mesoamerican and the Mayan tradition. So we are going to be, each of us, our like these herramientas, estos tools, the our own tool to connect with the spirit of the gods. So that's what we are going to do. So that's something special. So to use these pigments, how they use them, and to draw with the pigments. So that's
It's going to be great. Now, Ursula's amazing sort of day afternoon is the last day. So we end up with the feast after this art afternoon. And I think the codex will be very much about encompassing everything that we've experienced in the week of our travels. Our travels will be to 3 different places, including Chichen Itza and Uxmal, Venus platforms, Venus observatories. There's just it's so rich, the landscape there and the archaeology. We've got Yuri, who is a scholar in Mayan astronomy and history and archaeology, and she's an astrologer. And the Mayan calendar, of course, is based on Venus. So it's an incredible experience, and we're so looking forward to it. So as a prelude, like we were, with Ursula, she's an artist and a painter herself, and an astrologer, of course. So she said, well, I'd like to do, a presentation on, again, she's been researching this. This is one of her specialties, to put color, art, astrology all together. And in this particular session, we're going to talk about the surrealist artists, the magic of colors and symbolism. And it's almost like, I think it's a prelude to, because we can't do everything on this retreat, can we, Ursula? Like when we were looking at the program, it's like, oh, this could go on for a month, with how many rich topics that, fall under Venus. Yes. So this is a bonus, okay? And hopefully it entices some of you to come and join us. Again, only a few places left. But with that, it's over to you, Ursula. We are really looking forward to what you've put together for us, and learn a lot about painting, art, surrealism, magic, symbolism. Thank you so much.
okay. You're welcome. So here, it's very important in Mexican art. We have a lot of influences, everything that has to do with ism. So we had this surrealist influence through the Dadaism. And in Mexico, it's very important to know the historical background we had when muralism started and also surrealism started. First, we had this, everybody knows Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. Diego Rivera he had a scholarship when he was young, and he was in Europe. So he really didn't know too much about what was happening with the revolution in Mexico, but he knew, and as soon as he knew, he was between 18 and 21 years old, he came to Mexico, but he had the European influence. So you are going to see some of his paintings with the European influence. So uh, uh, Mexico is a country that's full of magic. Even for André Breton, I'm going to be speaking about André Breton because André Breton was very, very important in the influence of surrealism art. And he said that Mexico was one of the most surrealist countries. And there was also the war between the First World War and the Second. So many European artists came to Mexico and to have refuge and to explore all what happened with the surrealism art. So here we have also what is really surrealism and what was the influence also of the surrealism. It was this time where 1920s, where there was this European communism, Stalinist Soviet Union. Trotsky also came to Mexico later on with Diego Rivera. Diego Rivera invited him. So in Mexico, it was also this revolt against these social classes, and all the workers had to work like 16 hours, and they were really they were taken advantage of the upper class. So the muralists first that I really would love to share with whoever wants to come to Mexico before going to Yucatan, they are also invited, and we can see how we organize several sightseeing. Also with Julia in Mexico, we are also going to have some workshops. One is about astrocartography, the other is the phases of the Venus. And on Sunday, we really want to visit Cacaxtla. Cacaxtla is this sightseeing where we can see the Venus. And it's a very impressive place in Tlaxcala. And it was this place where they could pilgrimage from Teotihuacan and also from Oaxaca. So there was this Aztec and Olmec influence, and later the Mayan. So that's only that we are also organizing something in Mexico. So you know that with Julia we are going to do that. So in the surrealism really started with someone called Guillaume Apollinaire. I don't know if you have heard about him. He wrote a play. It was Le Mamel de Tresias, first performed in 1917, and there he used this surrealist word that was the first word he used. Later, André Breton, he took it over, and he used it later after he had this relation with Dadaism, and he used it later. Well, Guillaume Apollinaire, I really want you to look at the moon in Taurus, because we are going to be analyzing a lot of moon in Taurus, and also Pisces. That's going to be something that's going to be always like again and again we are going to see it, because Diego Rivera, his moon is also in Taurus, Frida Kahlo's also. So, and what is funny is that we are going to see the moon in Taurus, and well, these these artists are really changing the worldview, where the dreaming and not the rational is going to be important. Freud was also very interested in all this dream scenario, but the difference between Breton and Freud was that Breton said, well, it's the imagination. We don't have to think too much about what is behind it. So Guillaume Apollinaire was the first one, and he made something very special. That's very difficult to make. Usually, people who are very, very intelligent and very smart are able to paint and to draw at the same time. So what he did, he was the first to use the term surrealism and surrealist. He invented the term in March 1917 in a letter sent to the Belgian poet Paul Dermet, and used it again in June 1917 on occasion of the premiere of his play The Tits of Tiresias, which he described as surrealist drama to express a way of seeing reality because no other way of seeing it served him. So he defined it as follows. That's interesting. When man wanted to imitate walking, he created the wheel, which is nothing like a leg. That's how he made surrealism without knowing it. Breton, in his manifesto of 1924, recovered the word, although giving it another meaning. So here is this Apollinaire that without knowing he made these, he was also very much, this is the one related to the planets. So he did one that was related to the planets even. All of these surrealist painters, and even in muralism, we are going to see a lot of the magic, the symbolism, astrology, tarot that's going to be represented. Here we have André Breton. Here we can see again the moon and Taurus. He is a Pisces, and he was born in France. His parents wanted him to be an engineer, but he studied medicine and psychiatry. So during World War, he was working as a psychiatrist, and he related to the dream world, and he was writing about that. And later on, he had this relationship also with Freud, and Freud was very important to him. And he Freud had developed free association therapy by prompting his patients going through hysteria to say what was going through their minds. Under this influence, Breton and Soupault was the one with whom he wrote this manifesto, wrote Magnetic Fields. It was a record of thoughts. So the difference here is that when someone had a dream and went to therapy with Freud, they were saying, well, what did your dream relate to? Did you see the room in when you were little, or did you see some furniture or whatever? And with Breton, it was different. So with Breton, it was more like a free association that he had this, he came to this. Okay, so I'm going to go a little quick, so because we're not going to have too much time, but if you see the recording, you can stop and you can read and you can stop so that you have everything there. Okay, so uh, so he began to study medicine. That's what ignoring family's pressure. That's what I already told you. And then later he inaugurated the Gradiva Gallery on 10th Street, traveled to Mexico, where Diego Rivera introduced him to his admired Trotsky. And Breton drafted together with Diego Rivera the Manifesto for an Independent Revolutionary Art in July 1938. So here we have this influence, this Diego Rivera influence, where even Breton is going to invite later on Frida Kahlo to Paris to an exhibition, but she never thought about herself as being a surrealist because she was more autobiographic and not relating to this dream life. So if you see, Frida Kahlo has a lot of paintings about herself. Whenever whoever comes to Mexico and wants to go to the museum and see Frida Kahlo's work more closely, you are going to see how many paintings she has of herself. So even Diego Rivera helped a lot, Frida Kahlo. But the important surrealists that came, we only think about surrealism thinking about artists like some writers, and it's not the case. Surrealist art, we are going to have um, writers like Octavio Paz, or we are going to have Alejandro Jodorowsky, who also made a lot of surrealist art with his theater. And Leonora Carrington even made all the costumes for him. So we are going to be relating surrealists with André Breton, Joan Miró, Max Ernst, who was the partner, Leonora Carrington's partner, and he was the first one who painted a surrealist painting. So uh, she fell in love, Leonora Carrington fell in love with him when she was 18 or 19 years old, and he was 45 years old. So he was much older. Wolfgang Palen, he is very important in surrealist art because he made a magazine, a special magazine, and he is from Austria. Oscar Dominguez, Mata, Remedios Varo, Carrington, Kurt Seligman. So we are going to have a lot of influence of the surrealist art in Mexico. Here we have like a tarot that is going to be done by uh, um, Breton, not only Breton, created by André Breton, Victor Bauner, Oscar. They all made this tarot with 54 surreal cards, where the love was related to the flames, dreams to stars, revolution to the pentacles, and knowing to luck. So you are going to see, like Freud, they put him a star, Pancho Villa, they put him like the luck, he was terrible. So Baudelaire to love. So what they did is to develop this tarot. So here we can see how this influence was so important. There is another influence that's going to be very important also for Breton, Novalis. Novalis was this German writer, German Romanticism. And in Romanticism, it's very important because the Germans started to look at themselves as humans being very, very little or not important. Uh, they related much more through nature and through was the spiritual part in in the way of representing nature. Nature was the one who was influencing humanity and not humanity, nature. So there was this change about this. So Breton took and the star this tarot card from the star is relating to this influence of this German writer. And well, it isn't only the German writer, it was all the influence of Romanticism in the German literature and things like that. So here we're going to see this representation of Max Ernst and friends, where here are the different names of all these surrealist movement, where we can see all these important people. There was Dali also. Well, I don't know if he is here represented, but well, Picasso, Dali, they were also part of this movement, although they were more in the Cubism and, but well, Dali, yes, very surreal. Okay. So here we have Max Ernst. Max Ernst, this is the first surrealist painting. This was related to this first surrealist painting. Here we can see this Aries, and later you are going to see Leonora Carrington's also chart, and they were both Aries. And here's Uri and Raquel, and they figured out the the hour of birth of Leonora Carrington, so her ascendant was also Aries. Although I didn't put it in here, so I have to change it. But okay, this is Max Ernst. Max Ernst and Leonora Carrington had this relationship. He was a German. He moved to Paris in 1922, where he became acquainted with André Breton's surrealist group and developed a painting derived from semi-automatic techniques such as frottage, which consisted of placing a piece of paper on a surface with a special texture and rubbing it with a pencil. So he was a huge influence in Leonora Carrington's life, also because he later was, during the war, he was taken into prison uh, in France. And Leonora, she got like very mad, and her parents put her into a psychiatric institution. When she came out, well, Max Ernst was already later with Peggy Guggenheim, and she wanted to flee from her parents, and so she met this Mexican Leduc, and so she married him, although she wasn't really in love with him, but she came to Mexico, and later she divorced him in Mexico. But later we are going to go deeper. I can't go too deep because we do not have that much time. So this painting is from Tamayo. Tamayo is a very surrealist painter. So it is like magic is here a generic term and one that has been often used to discredit the surrealist movement. So it was like saying, oh, they are too much into magic and this is not painting, because they had this European influence, also in muralism, they had this influence. So it was like discrediting all the movement that was so important to Mexicans. It was also the muralism and also the surrealism. It was like giving too much importance to the European influence. So what Mexico did is like change this influence. Okay, so here it's surrealism and and its impact on time. So here, if you see when Breton came to Mexico and saw what happens in Mexico, is he said, well, this is an entirely surreal country, is where, well, you celebrate death and you dance with death, and it's like the way we relate to death. What is also the influence in Mexican cosmogony is that the earth is it's the cycle. It's like life and death are together. So when you come to this country, you are going to say, well, how could they sacrifice children or whatever? It has to do with a different way of looking at life and death. So that's what makes us so surreal. And the muralists and the surrealists, they really wanted to to give a very special credit to our cosmogony and to our traditions and the way we saw life, because it's not seeing life in a way like it's not profound. It's a very way of seeing life in a very, very deep way. So that's what we have. Here, this is the library in the UNAM. Juan O'Gorman, he made this. So you can see this great influence of all the mystical, Masonic, even astrological influence. The funny thing is that Juan O'Gorman and Frida Kahlo, they were born on the same day, not the same year, but the same day. So And when Frida Kahlo died, he committed suicide a little some years later, and he was like very disappointed too, but they were very, very close. One of the issues why Gorman committed suicide is that he was like very disappointed with friends and with the death of his friends, and one of them was Frida Kahlo. And he even was the architect of the houses where Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo had their studio, and he was a minimalist. He was someone very, very in his future. What you are also going to see is that Uranus is also going to have a very great importance in all these charts. But later, I will show you this. Jose Vasconcelos was very important. He was the Secretary of Education. And when you can, if you see here, he is a Pisces. Pisces is also going to be something that's going to be uh, uh, represented again and again through the charts. So he influenced through Álvaro Obregón. He said that the education was very important, and one of the ways to educate people, because many, almost all Mexicans were illiterate. So the painting was very important because it was the way to have this to transmit the knowledge to to the people and to do things. The first one to do like a mural in this school of education was Roberto Montenegro. He was also a Pisces. And if you see the office of Vasconcelos when I visited, it was very interesting because he had all the zodiacal signs on top of his desk. And everything was related uh, to astrology, to Buddhism, to Masonry. And here is Vasconcelos depicted with Rabindranath Tagore. So, well, I love Rabindranath Tagore. So this is this special place where Diego Rivera was able to do a lot of his murals. So he um, did them. He painted almost all this place, this secretary. And here is the tree of symbolism that is just on the entrance almost, where you can see the tree of life, the women, the muses. Here you still can see the influence of the European art. Later on, it is going to be moving and it's going to be changing. Here we have the zodiacal signs in the ceiling of San Pedro or San Pablo. That's also what Roberto Montenegro did. Here we have Diego Rivera's chart. If you see, we also have here the moon, Neptune, that again in Taurus, that's going to be important, this feature. And his sun is here in Sag, and well, this combination where he changed and moved and did things. Uranus, Jupiter, Uranus here and sextiling this. So what Diego Rivera is considered one of the most cultivated painters in Mexico. So when he came from Europe, when he came to Mexico, he first got into the history of Mexico and traveled a lot in Mexico. So you're going to see that he depicts a lot of his people like black because colored one because he saw that we have a lot of the black influence in our culture. So here he even when he painted this painting, This painting was the creation of Diego Rivera. Here we can see his European influence. This is the one, the first one where he is going to have the muses and the creation, and then he is going to have the Trinity, the divine Trinity, and the atom. He is going to paint it too. And when he painted this, because it was a school, it was a university, so the students didn't like him very much. So when he was painting this, he came in like very early in the morning until very, very late in the evening. And when he was doing this, he put even diapers on, so he didn't have to go to the bathroom. Can you imagine that? And he had like a gun he had to use a gun to scare all the students. So it wasn't for him really easy to introduce and to change this way of seeing life and seeing here. I'm not going to go very deep in this because we're not going to have too much time, but this is the cárcamo. This I love for Mexico. And if we go to Cacaxtla, the water is going to be very important. It's on a hill on top. So we are going to see this warrior on a jaguar and the other one on a serpent. So who is going to win, fire or water? So the water is going to be very important. And here, this is one of the works of Diego Rivera, well, I really like the most. It's because he is telling about what the importance also of water. There's another painter who had a lot of influence here because he is a French, and he showed all the Mexicans how to make the proportions and to, ¿cómo se dice? La geometría. Geometry and well, proportions and no, es como, no como, como hacer las dimensiones. Perspective. Yes, he was very, very good in perspective. And although they, he had a lot of critics because he was a French, but he really believed in himself as being a Mexican. Also, here's the perspective he did. He was great in perspective, and he helped a lot of painters. Something that Remedios Varo had also, she was very good in perspective because her father was an engineer. And so she criticized a lot of Dali's painting because she said he doesn't have perspective. He doesn't know how to use it. So she wasn't really fond about Dali, but that was later. Here we have also Fernando Leal. He painted the part of this. I'm showing this because this the Lord of Chalma is very important because here he depicts the problem with the syncretism we had in Mexico and how the indigenous people never stopped being polytheistic. If you go to a church in Mexico, you are going to see they never stopped having this influence with magic, with rituals that were also always so important for them. Here's someone also very important, Jose Orozco. He is the one who was the most rational of all, very crude, and in the way he characterized everything because he had like an influence of Posada where he had ridiculized everything. So here this painting is like this issue of having how this excessive rationalism made people not transcend or have another way of looking at life. So this was important. Here we have the muralism and surrealism in Mexico. Here we have Frida Kahlo too, and there is a very important painting that we can visit if you come to Mexico City. We would love to show it to you. Even Raúl, who is also part of the my dear friends that shows us around, and he is already listening to us. Well, this is we have to think about everything that has is related. Okay, so we have this Europe and Mexico with Europeism, Cubism, where the angles observation of the object are multiplied to obtain. So this is what we have. So I'm going to go a little quick. Uh, so surrealism in Mexico. um, uh, Surrealism brought to Mexico by André Breton, who brought together the members who remained with the disappearance of Dada and adopted the word surreals, defining it as follows: purely psychic automatism by means of which it is intended to express verbally, in writing, or in any other way the true process of thought. It is the dictation of thought without the exercise of reason and aesthetic and moral concerns. It's his manifesto in 1924. Surrealism was also a way of life and the expression of a philosophical conception, and for some historians, it has been considered by some critics and historians as the most characteristic stronghold of the spirit that prevailed in the interwar period. So here is this. This is the surrealists sought to invent reality. They longed to make a universe ruled by dreams, poetry, and love prevail. That's very important, this part of love prevail, because when Octavio Paz read the manifesto of André Breton, he said that the main word we have to use when we see the surrealist art is love, that love is very important. So here's the mythical space was located in the geography or archaic and exotic cultures. So here we are going to have as surrealism Leonora Carrington, Remedios Varo, Maria Izquierdo, Cathy Horn, I didn't put her here, Wolfgang Palen, Buñuel, Octavio Paz, Frida Kahlo, not that much, or Diego Rivera also not that much, but some think that they are surrealist. So Octavio Paz, he is a very, very important, I think he is the most important writer in Mexico. And he was very much into this esoteric. He even wrote a poem about the poem to the sun, where he relates to the cycle of Venus. And he said there were two ways of seeing life. One was very rational, and the other was more related to the instincts and the psyche and the unconscious. And he said the most important part of this is the introduction to love. And love is the word that everybody should use. So this is one of his poems. I'm not going to read it because we are not going to finish it, but the way he writes this poem is like in the circle. So the importance of the circle in writing, in painting, in everything that we relate to is very important, because it is always going to talk about the infinite, what is happening with something that goes beyond. So here we have Frida Kahlo. If we see Frida Kahlo, or again, we are going to see that her moon is in Cancer, and she in Taurus, sorry, in Taurus again, and but she didn't believe that she was a surrealist painter. She didn't like it. But her diary is going to be very important, where she really paints things that are, in a way, a little bit surrealist, although she didn't believe. So here's Rufino Tamayo. He is one of the most important painters in Mexico because of the way he uses color. He is the one who introduces the importance of gray. If you use gray in a painting, then the other colors are going to have more importance and you are going to be able to see them more. And he was also very interested in magic and surrealism. And if you see all his paintings, he is, and here we are going to have it again, the moon in Taurus. Here's a beautiful painting where he writes how an artist or a painter has to relate to their art. It's starting from the idea that painting is a vehicle of its own, personal of expression, regardless of whether it is good or bad. Work with humility, that is, have the pride of enduring isolation, silence, loneliness, and above all, the harshness of work and deprivation. Paint not to live, but because you have to do it. Don't be in a hurry. Be blind to the obstacles placed in the way of envy and rivalry. Ask yourself once and for all, what is painting? And be sure of the answer. When you have it, there are no problems or dangers of continuing on crooked paths, putting plastic problems before all others. Do not rule out the existence of other problems, as there may be other values in addition to plastics. They should not be disdained or ignored, but much less should they be put first. So, what he does, I think it's not only for painters, it's for all people who are related to astrology, to art, because astrology is art. So, I think it's very important that we see this. So, here we are going to see the charts of Rufino Tamayo, Diego Rivera, and Frida Kahlo, all three with the moon in Taurus and aspects between Sun and Uranus. So they were all like in front of their time. They were always like in. There's someone who is an actor and director, a theater director. He also gave a lot of lessons about tarot. He also lived in Mexico. He's still living in California and is still giving, making his exhibitions and things like that. He is also seen as very surrealist, and when he made his theater performances, Leonora Carrington was the one who made the costumes and everything. Right now, there is an incredible exhibition about Leonora Carrington. It's going to be very sad that in August they are going to take it away. When Leonora Carrington was 80 years old, she made huge sculptures. And the way the son of Leonora Carrington put them together in this exhibition is, well, breathtaking, really breathtaking. So here we are going to have this is Leonora Carrington's also. The one painting that's in the front well, it's the first one which we announced this webinar, is about Leonora Carrington, and she made it in the Anthropological Museum, although she is not a muralist. Yeah, I think she is more a painter to paint like little canvases. And here is her chart. Well, Uri and Raquel, they found the real hour I didn't put it here because I made this a long time ago, but as Uri and Raquel say, that she was born at 6:02 in the morning, having all these planets being her ascendant in Aries and having all these planets here in the 12th house. So that speaks. This is the way she painted Max Ernst. Max Ernst was very influential in Leonora Carrington's life because he was her teacher. And well, here we are going to see what happened really with her movement and her art too. A very beautiful woman. I got to know her when she was really old. She made a case for a very special tequila, and it was sold very, 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 very expensive. But she had a problem you can see with her chart with her mother, and then she painted a lot of the white goddess is in a way she had this relation and was influenced very much about the mythology of Robert Graves with a white goddess, and she didn't like or she wasn't really too much into the Freudianism because it was too rational for her, and she made her own tarot deck. In this exhibition, it's very nice because there are some hands, and if you give the hand to this sculpture, the hand is going to give you a tarot card, and then you can read your tarot card. She made her own way of relating to this tarot. It's not the tarot that we see with the influence of the Waite tarot, because the Waite tarot has a very specific influence. So she doesn't paint the minor arcana, but they are interesting in her way. She doesn't use the symbolism, the traditional symbolism, but she makes her own symbolism. And I think it's beautiful to see also her tarot. I can share with you the tarot um, uh, through Julia. So in case you would like it in a book, because if you buy it, it's very expensive. So she was, you can see her Celtic influence is going to be very important because when she was little, her nanny took a lot of care of her because her parents were too bothered with themselves. So she had a very like magical life since she was little. She loved animals, and one of the things she said about Mexico is that the only thing that she didn't like about Mexico is that they didn't treat animals the way they should. So when she was in that period when she was in Mexico, it has been changing with time, but at that time, people didn't relate too much to animals. So the animal world is going to be very important. And there's another place that was also very important to her and to her two friends, Cathy Horn and Remedios Varo. The Cathy Horn, also from German influence, she changed her name because she was fleeing from one place to the other, and her father was a photographer, and she had this photographer and was killed, I believe, when she was very little, at 16 years old, Cathy Horn. So these were three women that came together every day. Every day they were like going to the market together. But one of the important places for these three were to have dinner together, where they made alchemy in the kitchen. So the kitchen and the alchemy that was uh, made was very, very important. So you are going to see always like these three like being together. Even it is said that these three made the dinner where everything had to be in black. If you go to Europe and say, "Oh, we have to have dinner, everything has to be in black." So you say, "Oh, It's terrible. But in Mexico, we have the Cuitlacoche that's black. We have the Zapote Negro that's black. So we have different things that are in black. So for them go, to be together and make her special ritual and alchemical and were like making, well, let's do this. So here's Kathy Horn. She's this photographer where she depicts all this problem that happens with Hitler and with the Jews. And well, this is a very uh, important painting of hers. And here's also this painting where she depicts herself. She is like naked here, and she here's this mask, and this is the smoke, and it's this relation um, between this dwelling and the people who have died during war. Okay. Really, they do not speak too much about her, but Remedios Varo, she died very young. Here we can see again, she and Leonora, they were very, very close, and they both had this moon in Libra. And this is something that made them relate very much. She was from Argentina. Her father was an engineer, and they sent her to school to Spain. And her father teach her a lot of perspective, so she knew a lot of perspective. So she made this Remedios Varo surrealist art, saying is barismo. So she had a special way of relating to this. She was later also in a nun school where she learned to knit and to make embroidery and things like that. So you are going to see with a lot of her paintings that are relating to this um, tejiendo, knitting a story, to knit a story through through her art, and every you are going to see the perspective. She knows how to do it. It's incredible. Here is the influence of the school and how she wants to go out, and the teacher. And well, you can read it because I'm not having too much time, but uh, in Barcelona, she meets Chirico's work, that he is going to have a lot of influence in her. She is going to make a close relationship to Chirico. And Dali, she doesn't like him too much because he didn't know how to make perspective. But Chirico was also this painter that influenced her and that she liked him very much. Uh, she found her new homeland despite experiencing profound and significant transformation in this country. When she came to Mexico, she didn't have money. That was one of the issues that she had. So she made publicity for Bayer, for this pharmaceutic, but always thinking about ecology, what these two painters, Leonora Carrington and Remedios Varo, had. They were always related to this part of taking care of ecology and nature and being related to nature. Remedios Varo loved cats. The same as Leonora Fini. Leonora Fini is another surrealist painter that she was Argentinian. She studied in Italy, came to Mexico, and she is also one of these uh, surrealist painters who really changed and moved and made a lot of things. Here we have the combining art and science. Here are part of the amoebias, where she is like representing what the amoebas do to the body and how to to well, to heal them through the medications of Bayer. That's what she did. Here's the passion for cats. There are several paintings. I'm not having time. I would love to explain much more of her paintings, but she went a lot to therapy. And there's a painting of hers that's very nice when she goes out of this session with a psychiatrist. But here with the cat, she speaks with the cat as being her therapist. And for her, that's very important, this relationship to the animals and to the cats. Here's the dream travel. She went when she went to the Orinoco River, and then she was an adventurer. She was an explorer. Well, she was a such. So for her to explore and to have this relationship was very important. So here we have the different um, paintings from her between reality and fantasy. And here is this table, like the medium, and like all the apples, like floating. And at the end, her last painting was this one, and she wasn't the most faithful one. And well, she died very young, and she knew that she was dying, but at that time she was related to the Austrian musician Walter Grün. Walter Grün was a friend of my father's, and they related because my father was very much into the theater, and they related in a library that with Günther Gerzo, Walter Grün, and my father, and they had these gatherings. So Walter Grün had a very special music recording place, and she was in a way sad because with him she had finally found this relationship that was important. This is Leonora Fini. Leonora Fini has a very special history because her parents, they dressed her as a boy when she was little. So when she was grown up, for her having being man woman, she had these identity issues that are very much in our times too. So she related to sexuality in a different way. She always had Persian cats. She loved Persian cats, and this influence was also very important. Someone also very important here in Mexico is Edward James. He was a very good friend of Dali, and he made this garden, the surrealist garden. Later, he and Dali, they broke up. They weren't that close friends anymore. But this surrealist garden is also a very nice garden to visit. And with Edward James, here's his chart. I'm not going to get too much into this. Wolfgang Palen, this is his newsletter he wrote, and all he related all these uh, paintings. And here, someone who is incredible, incredible as a surrealist painter, and it's very little known. And I just went to an exhibition from him is Alan Glass, very much related to tarot, to astrology, to everything. And well, I hope I didn't take too much time of your, and thank you so very much for everything.
Hey, whoa. There's a lot there. Wow, already. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Ursula. Yes, a lot to take in, but as Ursula said, you can re-watch the recording and study the charts a bit more. Otherwise, we would be here for hours, wouldn't we?
Yes, for hours. And well, if we go into each of the paintings of Leonora Carrington and Remedios Varo, it would take days and days and days.
Yes, yes, yes.
Even Alan Glass also. Well, each of these painters are a theme for themselves, really. And I really hope that you are going to enjoy Mexico. And well, this is a little bit a perspective that maybe you are not going to see that much in Yucatan, but if you come to Mexico, please do not stop visiting the museums and all the heritage we have to share, not only in archaeoastronomy, also in murals in, well, in surrealism and in art in general. Mexico City is one of the countries who has the most museums. We have 72 museums in the city only. So you can imagine how many painters we have here.
Oh, and Tony. Now I know Tony's joining our pilgrimage, Venus pilgrimage. Are you going to go to Mexico City as well? Yeah, definitely. It's an incredible place. I've been there twice and I can't wait to go again. And yeah, if you are an art lover, archaeology, it's all there and there's so much to take in. So much to take in. So do think about it, of course, to join us, but um, even your own kind of art, I suppose. I mean, there's just so much to look at there. I noticed that Diego Rivera was born at a star point in Sagittarius, I think it was, yeah, which was 4 years after the transit. And then I was noticing a lot of the artists and their Venus, of course, looking at their Venus Sun sort of story as well. So yeah, there's a lot to do. I would
That's
love to
good
do.
to, to analyze with these painters. Yes, a lot.
Yeah. But so we will be doing art on the pilgrimage, but mostly we'll be exploring the ancient sites and working on ourselves in a sense to process a lot of things. The Venus will be in Scorpio before her, let's say, descent into the underworld for the retrograde. She will be at her brightest, which is so incredible. If you're seeing the Venus Jupiter conjunction in the sky at the moment, a lot of people think that Jupiter is the brightest one, but it's Venus. Because when Venus and Jupiter are together, Jupiter is somewhat close to the sun, and his let's say brilliance is when he's opposite. But of course, Venus is never opposite the sun. So whenever Venus and Jupiter meet, Venus will always be the brightest. So anyway, in September when we go, um, Venus will be at her brightest just before she sort of falls to Earth again. So it's a very special time to go and to be there. And of course, we'll be there for the equinox as well.
Yes.
So the Libra equinox, of course, Venus ruled. So many Venus things. So if you are into art, archaeology, astrology, traveling, have a great spirit, then we would love you to join us. Okay.
Yes, of course, please. And if you
Yes.
come first to Mexico City and to listen to Julia's workshop she's going to be giving in my place.
Yeah, so if you are in Mexico City the weekend before, isn't it? So the weekend of, let me think of the date. We
It's going to be the 11th and the 12th, the 11th in the evening, Friday evening, Saturday morning, and on Sunday we are planning a trip to Cacaxtla to see the Venus. So please let us know. Here is Raul. Raul is going to be our guide. And there are going to be like, we are going to have to see also some incredible murals. Desiderio Hernandez, it's incredible in Tlaxcala. So in case you can join us in Yucatan, please join us in Mexico City and please get to
Yes,
know.
fantastic. Yes, because there's a lot of locals as well that, can't come with us on the pilgrimage, but we may meet you in Mexico City. That would be fantastic. Um, I've not, well, when I went last time in 2012, I was an astrologer, but I was just a traveler. This time I'm going there, to also sort of, discover more. I can't wait. I can't wait. So we'll let you go, Ursula. Thank you all for being online with us. Sorry about the mix up. Not, I'll have to find out what's going on there, but wait for the recording. It will be up on YouTube and then sent out to our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, do subscribe to the CIA on Substack. or our YouTube channel to find these videos and replays. So many
Thank you.
blessings, Ursula. Thank you so much. We'll be in
Thank
touch very soon.
you.
And many blessings on this Venus Jupiter week. May it bring lots of, what do you call it? May your cup overfloweth, as I said on social media the other day.
Of present.
And then
That's
pass it around, share it around. That is a very Jupiter Venus thing. It's not, it's not everything that we have, it's what we are able to share. So thank you for sharing all of that, Ursula. And can't wait to see you for real in Mexico this September. Okay. Or UAC first, actually. Yeah. All right, everyone. All the best.
Bye
See
bye.
you all soon. Bye bye.